Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and there's been a lot of discussion these past few days about what the next roster change we might be seeing is here in the CDL 2021. Yes, they definitely had a lot of implications for that, and the storylines kind of aligned, because Zoomer and Methodz have been doing these very entertaining streams these last few days, and they certainly had a few words to say a couple of days ago about the potential of these roster moves and how the Friendship League is going to have an impact. Enjoy to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you were new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. Let's get into things then. So this from Breaking Point, easyMac put together these are KDs from so far, at least in stage 2. Of course, only a couple of series been played so far, but Aqua, Simp, I mean, inside right here, up here at the top of the standings. Yeah, just pretty scary to see some of these KDs coming out all across the board. But fair play, of course, to Insight, who had a fantastic showing yesterday in their unfortunate Game 5 round 11 defeat to Los Angeles Thieves. But certainly for both of those squads, it was not a convincing affair, right? And I was kind of thinking, alright, if Toronto win, then there's some big questions about if Los Angeles Thieves should make a change. But even in the victory they got, right, it was hardly a convincing one, and there are, well, certainly questions, I'm sure, internally as well, about the inconsistencies shown from that team. And it just really seems to be that if you look at LA Thieves, like, can you see that team winning a championship? Like, personally, I cannot at the present time. And surely that's got to be the goal, right? And therefore, I mean, what have you got to do? Typically, Slasher and Kenny's teams have had to go through some sort of roster change early season before they actually become competitors. I mean, it's happened in many seasons in a row. Even last year, right, when they bring in Chino for that event, I think they played Atlanta in the finals and came top 2, actually. OGLA did that time around. So they made a change. Then she became pretty good last season for a time. We saw it with the World Championship as well, where they could have made top 4, maybe even better if they don't lose that Game 5 round 11 1v1 Envoy versus TJ. I'm sure you guys remember very well. So this is what Methodz has to say last night. Tippable. I mean, this I thought was just crazy as well. You guys might remember this all the way in the Game 5 round 11. This is a play that Bance and CleanX decided to make here, top purple once again. Not really sure what the play was going on here. I'm pretty sure they did this just the same thing the previous rounds. And I don't know, this just seems like a bit of a bad play, because Bance is sitting here and CleanX can't really get his trade right. Like, TJ peeks this corner, I think, or whoever gets the first blood, and Bance kind of just gets picked off without actually being able to get the trades, and CleanX might like block Bance's running away here. So just a bit of a shambolic setup, to be honest. And as Bance says to finish off the series right after they do go down, apologies to the fans, I need to get better. And there are some questions here, right? I thought this was pretty funny. I'll just show a couple of these memes that came out on the Reddit yesterday. Is he ready to watch Insight fail so he can get his spot back? Insight has tied the CDL record for the longest kill streak and now has one of the highest KDs in the CDL, also broken the S&D kill records. As well, this though as well, no Doug, no dub, no twins, no wins, but at no chance, no Bances that have also been kind of circulating the last couple of days, because yes, Insight for Methodz was the change, Insight looks good, but at the end of the day, when you look from a statistical perspective, it's not clear that that was the problem by any means. Also though, on the other side of things, it's not like LA Thieves had the greatest time. They could easily have lost this in Game 5 round 11 to a team that's just been formed, which certainly wouldn't have been a good sign for a team that we come into the season thinking, okay, maybe it's only a matter of time until they're championship contenders. A lot of people thinking these guys will be at least top 4, but you can certainly argue that is not the case right now. I mean, it's also not the case in terms of seeding standing so far. And as he says, like, first match with the sub, so Kenny back on the SMG, and it wasn't exactly convincing, right? And this is the whole thing. They switch up Kenny to the SMG. They're saying, okay, before we make a roster change, let's actually try and make some role changes. Kenny goes to an SMG like he used to play with the PPSH back in World War II and was so great with, and you can argue the 74 used pretty similar to the PPSH, so maybe that's going to be okay. But certainly Temp and Kenny didn't exactly on these new roles have a fantastic series. I mean, it was actually Slasher and TJ that were putting in most of the work this series, and as Kenny says also, yes sir, like, our comms are absolutely awful right now, and as Slasher goes, GG's Toronto, keep making the same mistakes and communication errors, keep making us so unbelievably hit or miss, and you cannot afford to be hit or miss in a league this competitive, right? You look at Atlanta FaZe, are they hit or miss? No, they're 9-0, they're winning, like, even if they lose the Search and Destroy, they're going to win all the respawns as they did up against New York a couple of days ago now. So definitely Thieves have some serious questions to answer over these coming days, and these of course were the stats, right? I wanted to point out the fact that Kenny and Temp, after these role swaps, like, it doesn't seem to me that these role swaps are necessarily a step in the right direction, right? Given the fact that both of them had pretty tough series here. And of course on the Toronto side, it's Bance who really didn't have the greatest series here, not only in terms of KD, but also in terms of engagements, right? At least engagements in the lobby, not exactly looking spectacular. So some questions to be answered. I wanted to share a couple of very entertaining clips from Methodz stream at these last couple of days. One of them especially I think is kind of interesting, because certainly their joke and their casting over rates, this is a prime entertainment, but Methodz and Zoomer are kind of talking about the whole idea of the Los Angeles Thieves roster not looking so good right now, and the fact that, okay, Slasher's friends with JCap, therefore what's the chances realistically he gets dropped, but what is the relationship there between TJ and Temp with JCap, and of course that is a situation you might have to consider, and it's certainly the case for Minnesota. Rokkr we'll talk about in a second.
But if not, you gotta start thinking they need to make a change, and who's it gonna be for? A lot of talented players on the team, but it's not working here. It could be their main ARs, it could be their subs. That's the question.
Yeah, now, unfortunately, though, to Slasher's defense, he is very good friends with JCap. As we can see, being friends with the coach can really help a lot, as, you know, there's a lot of teams built off this friendship, Tom. So Slasher, no matter how bad he does, I think he's safe. That's good for him. Now, TJ, on the other hand, he's not as close with JCap. This is a player who's obviously has some success. At the same time, he just doesn't have that friendship with JCap. So could we see TJ maybe get released?
Possibly. I don't think Donnie's very close with JCap either, and we know it's a friendship bleed.
Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy OpTic Scumpy, back again with the gameplay commentary. Today we went 68-0 on Terminal, so pretty good map out of myself.
So Rokkr also had a very difficult loss yesterday, 3-0 to the Paris Legion, especially you look at the rest of their group. You've got Dallas in there, you've got OpTic in there. They're not going to have an easy time. I think they play up against Florida or something later today. We'll look at that series just here in a second. But yeah, Priestahh, super tough loss. Took a few terrible routes on map 1 through map 2 away. Got to bounce back tomorrow. And certainly does right. Like Priestahh onto this team, we talked about in the preseason the idea that, okay, Priestahh on this squad is a little bit strange in the sense that typically he's been a great flex player. But, you know, clearly it's not working out right here with him on this main SMG. Really's been pretty poor, all things considered, so far this season. It must be said that there certainly was a consideration, and Slasher, I believe, has talked about this, that the Priestahh is the player that they wanted on Los Angeles Thieves before the season began. I mean, they weren't actually sure it was going to be LA Thieves at the time, but effectively then, because the whole chaos went down on Nadeshot and, well, Hex bought out the spot and then sold it to Nadeshot, Priestahh, in the meantime, got snapped up by the Minnesota Rokkr. And I'm sure he's on a massive contract, and I'm sure they don't want to get rid of him, but you can see a world in which a trade, you know, for Priestahh going to LA Thieves, once again, right, as he joined 100 Thieves to great effect in Black Ops 4 could be the way to go. And that clearly hasn't been looking so good so far on the Minnesota Rokkr. And this is a team that we talked about the whole time being like, you know, kind of a friendship team in that sense. Right? I mean, you look at this squad accuracy, Maniac, Priestahh, and Attach in accuracy, especially two guys that clearly Attach had faith in accuracy's project that he was building over here. And the friendship and the experience that these guys have together certainly was part of forming this team. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but you certainly have to look at this squad and you look at these results and you say, okay, they got pretty much bodied here by the Paris Legion, and yet not a result you want, especially off such a poor stage 1. We've got to be like, okay, we're going to get our act in order now. Okay, like, look, we underperformed significantly stage 1. We'll go up against the Paris Legion. We'll at least win our search and destroy, and then we'll try and take it the distance and maybe win a game 5 if we have to. After beating Dallas Empire not too long ago, but this team just looks pretty much shambolic right now, and therefore what are you going to do if you're the Minnesota Rokkr? These guys were touted, okay, like it's such an improvement in theory, and as kind of Methodz is getting at really in the whole Los Angeles Thieves thing, is a similar situation in order right here, where the friendships with the coaching staff and with each other is preventing them picking up a player who they might need. Because you look at a lot of teams right now, you look at Paris Legion, for example, I mean, Fire has a great series, a number of other teams right now have picked up young talent, or at least have like relatively young, cracked out talent on their squad. That's how a lot of teams are operating right now, but you look at a team like the Rokkr, they don't really have that. You look at a team like Los Angeles Thieves, I think they're in a very similar boat, and Slasher has always kind of been relatively uneasy to get in like new players to the team and try out substitute players that could be potentially very cracked out SMG players, I suppose, if you want to describe them like that. In the same way that Drazah, having still been a substitute this year, you know, he never got his opportunity at the start. They decided to bring in Temp in instead, and maybe that's worked out better than it would have done with Drazah. But yeah, you've got to say, right, that some of these teams, I mean, Seattle as well is another example, that just don't have any real young talent on the squad. And it seems to me that majority of teams in the league right now are moving in that direction, and certainly for good reason. Some of these guys upcoming from the amateur scene are very hungry indeed. We saw it with Insider yesterday, slotting in, breaking the S&D kill record in his very first series. These guys are super hungry, they want to win, and a lot of these teams just don't seem to be taking the chances on these players, potentially due to the friendships that they have with other players in the league. And well, is that costing them W's? I think there is certainly a case to be made. Few interesting things to finish off the video. Thought I'd mention this. You guys, I'm not sure if you have experienced this these last few days on the PC, especially on console. It's not too bad in League play, but as Zero says, League play is riddled with hackers right now. Such a big shame that we can't even get a single sniff of anti-cheating COD. Just so sad right now. And Haggy says a similar thing as well, been encountering a ridiculous amount of cheaters in League play as of late. I mean, this that EasyMac tweets out as well. I just thought I'd share this because it's pretty funny. Oh no, this new apocalypse. Hardpoint, of course, trying to break into this P1, and this guy's absolutely going off on the main stage. This guy cannot be stopped. The 4-piece headshot in the kill feed. Yet someone get a trade. This goes out of control. Oh my god. His hacks are actually next level. That's pretty impressive hacks right there. So yeah, fair play to this guy. And well, as Parasite says, also some frustrations with League League play in general. I like it a lot because it's competitive pubs, but no mistake, this is one of the worst ranked plays they've ever had. Everyone gets Masters, even though, like, I don't know, somehow when I got Masters the first time, every single time I play a placement, I get Masters, even if I get bodied or if I don't. Whereas I think some people who like struggled early on and got in the lower ranks, then they just get stuck in those, basically just get relegated to those lower ranks forever. So pretty frustrating stuff, I think, all around. As Haggy says as well, I thought was interesting, Apocalypse might be one of the most punishing maps we have on this game. If you make one staggered rotation and bang, there's a full 60 for the other squad. So definitely something to keep looking at these coming days. I'm imagining we're going to get to see some more Apocalypse tonight because I'm sure certain teams like it right now, but a lot of the series yesterday were relatively shortcuts, especially the final one, and these are the games for today. So OpTic Chicago kicking off again tonight versus the Paris Legion. That is honestly going to be a great match, I think, because Paris look really good right now, and OpTic are coming in like not necessarily hot, right, because they've had a couple of weeks off. Paris are coming in hot of a 3-0 yesterday, so very much think this series could be competitive. I think that OpTic will take it in something like a 3-1, and maybe we'll clutch up in some of the respawns, but I think some of these maps are going to be very close indeed. Paris are not a team to be overlooked at the present time. These are the matches then for today. So OpTic versus Legion, then Mutineers versus Rokkr. Yeah, really interesting match too right here, because I think this has a lot of implications. If Rokkr lose this one, their team has just got to be chalked, right? Like, I don't think there's any coming back from this, and honestly, I'm going to favour the Mutineers, because Mutineers at least look somewhat competent at times. I still think both of these teams are very shaky. I can see the Minnesota Rokkr taking it, but yeah, I'm just not convinced by either of these squads right now. And then the final match of the day, Empire versus Surge. This might be better than we imagined, because Seattle actually looked pretty good a couple of days ago against the Mutineers, but still, it's tough to look past Dallas Empire and OpTic Chicago today, and I'm pretty sure all these matches are in that Group B. Intrigued to hear your thoughts on all this stuff we discussed today in the comment section below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm to know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and upgrade the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always, take care, and I will see you next time.
Clay and see what he says after a big W's in.
Oh, let's do it.
Hey, Clayster, how you doing today? You just absolutely went off that map. What's going through your mind after that one, big guy?
You know, just finding some form, Lottie. Thanks.
I appreciate that. What's going through your mind as you go into this next map?
Hold on, real quick, Clay. That actually wasn't Lottie here. We wanted to ask you a few questions about what's going on with you. Obviously, you're the main name for the New York Subliners, and we want to see you prevail. And obviously, pretty tough 2 years for you, as you've been dropped twice, and you probably submitted around 400 tweets after those 2 occurrences. So, for you, what is the best way for you? What is the best way for you to regroup and sort of bring this team together for this Game 5 win?
Yeah, I'm off. I can't try no more. I can't try no more.
You heard it here first, folks. Clay can't speak. He is mind blown.
Thank you.
Let's go back to Nameless on the end.